Jeremy Swayman. Okay. So obviously he's a polarizing player. It depends a lot on league format. Some people seem to really have him high because of those rate stats, but I worry about the volume. We're going to start with the optimist here. Nick, that's you. You have him 62nd overall.
Yeah, so I'd be honest, like he's probably in my zone of like 60 to like 75. The first take is that I think Linus Ullmark is going to regress. I mean, it goes without saying the numbers were just ridiculous last year, and then you lose Bergeron, you lose Krejci, you lose Hull. Having said that, like I think Boston's going to be better defensively and a better team than people are giving them credit for. Like I think this is so subjective on how you truly feel about Boston. Like if you're one of those people who think they're going to miss the Stanley Cup playoffs, then I get it. But I still think they have a team competent enough to be one of the better defensive teams in the league. So I think the statistics are going to be there with both goaltenders. But I do think Swayman's going to pull for some for some playing time, because ultimately I do see a scenario down the road or maybe even later on this season where Swayman's like the 1A and somebody else, Allmark right now is the 1B. Like I think he has the potential to be that stud fantasy netminder. So I think the ascent continues this season.
Okay, and I'm the pessimist at 172nd overall, way down there. And I think potential, that's the word that I'm going to prey on here. Potential. I think that Linus Ullmark is not getting very much respect in rankings for someone who literally just won the Vezina Trophy, had arguably the best season by a goalie this century. Our great writer, Paul Paduti, put together the argument as to why his season was so unbelievable. And I'm not saying I expect Ullmark to repeat that. What I'm saying is it's bizarre to me when people are projecting Swayman to just steal the job of someone who had the best goalie season in the last 20 years. Ullmark starts the year with a pretty strong grip on that job because of it. I think the cap for Swayman starts is maybe 35. And I don't think you can pick Jeremy Swayman to be your first goalie when he might not even start half his team's games. I get that the rate stats are going to be great, but the other thing is, how great are they going to be? Boston lost Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci, Tyler Bertuzzi, Dmitry Orlov. This team did get a lot worse. I think that includes getting worse defensively. And after winning 65 games last year, it might be 45, let's say 45, 27, and 10. That's a 100-point team. That's still 20 fewer wins for your goalies to accumulate in fantasy if the Bruins regress to just being very good. So I just see a lot more downside than people realize with the Jeremy Swayman pick. I think it's a reach. Brock, you have him at 131st, voice of reason.
Yeah, I actually recorded our goalies episode on our DFO fantasy podcast last night and had Jeremy Swayman as my bust just because of this ADP doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. As you guys mentioned, he's limited in terms of usage by Ullmark. I think at best that this is at best a 50-50 split, but this team isn't winning 79% of their games like they did last year. They can't support two top 10 goalies without the elite record, and I don't see them getting there without Patrice Bergeron primarily. Obviously, Krejci is a big loss as well, but I think one of them is going to be a bust. It's unavoidable that Ullmark or Swayman, one of them is going to be a bust this year. I think Ullmark's going 30th. Swayman's going like 59th right now. It's terrifying because the Bruins just weren't that good of a team without Patrice Bergeron. Their expected goals for share went from 63% with Bergeron on the ice to 50% without him last season. So I don't think this is going to be a smooth transition without Bergeron. And I would rather put my chips in on Ullmark at 30 than Swayman at 53 just because of what Ullmark did last year. But I honestly don't like either one of them at their ADPs.